From the Frank Beck Chevrolet Studio Annex. It's a cold, cold Wednesday, and it's time again for Time on Overtime on the Time on Overtime YouTube channel. I'm Rick Arsenal. First things first, if you haven't done so yet, first of all, thanks so much for watching. Please, if you haven't done so yet, get down there in that corner down there and smash that like and subscribe button. Thank you very much. As you saw in the headlines, the Lions have lost another coach. In fact, they lost a couple today. The most recent one being Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, has gone to the Jets. Uh, I think Adam Schefter reported a couple of days ago that he was going to have a meeting with the Jets and they weren't going to let him out of the building or something. But we'll get to that just a second. First things first, get a couple of things out of the way here. As far as the Tigers go, Evan Petzold of the Detroit Free Press, or is it the News? Anyway, beat writer, Tigers beat writer, has reported the negotiations. While both sides still have an interest, the negotiations between the Tigers and Alex Bregman have stalled. To what extent, we don't know. I think Bregman has made it known to his agent, Scott Boras, as we were getting closer and closer to the opening of camps, spring training. Most teams have targeted February 12th, which really isn't that far off. But 3 weeks away yet? He'd like to get something done by the time spring training starts. That's understandable. But I think in order for that to happen, Scott Boras is going to have to back off his demands for a 7-year, $200 million deal. That's simply not going to happen. Now, the main suitors in this pursuit of Bregman were said to be the Cubs and the Blue Jays and the Red Sox and the Tigers. Well, let's look at this. Jed Hoyer, general manager of the Cubs, said last week they're out of the running. They're not going to get involved in a bidding war for Alex Bregman. So you cross the Cubs off. The Toronto Blue Jays last week signed free agent outfielder from the Baltimore Orioles, Anthony Santander. Switch hitting power hitter. I would think that pretty much takes him out of the running. Of course, not officially, but I'm assuming that. Maybe I shouldn't assume that. Well, that leaves the Red Sox and the Tigers, and Rafael Devers has made it known he's not moving off of third base. And I don't think their first baseman's going anywhere either. Look, the best fit. Scott Boras and Alex Bregman can't be that naive to know that his best fit for him would be right here in Detroit. I still think it's going to happen. It could be a while yet. I don't think we could be halfway through spring training before he signs. My gut feeling is eventually he will end up here in Detroit with the Tigers. Patience. We're just going to have to be patient. See how this thing works out. So that's where that's at right now. You look at it right now, the Tigers have signed 2 free agents, pitcher Alex Cobb, and infielder Gleyber Torres, and good old Scott Boras. Both of them got 1-year deals. It's going to take more than 1 year if you want to sign Alex Bregman, Scott. I still think eventually he'll end up with the Tigers. Okay, we got Tigers news out of the way. Michigan State basketball. Let's see. Michigan basketball. The Wolverines are 14-4 overall. They're 6-1 of the Big Ten in second place. They've got a big game Friday night coming up with Purdue. Boilermakers are 7-2, 15-5 overall. There should be a game, very good game on Friday night. I think it's on Fox. I'm looking forward to watching that game. The Spartans are having a great season, ranked number 8 in the country. They're 16-2 overall. They've won 12 straight now? 11 straight, 12 straight. I think it's 11 consecutive games now. Undefeated in the Big Ten. They're 7-0 in the Big Ten now, I think. Yeah, 7-0, 16-2 overall. They're in first place. Michigan's right behind them at 6-1. Then Purdue at 7-2. Those are your top three of the Big Ten. State does play. State plays Saturday afternoon in New Jersey when they play Rutgers. We got that out of the way. The Pistons. First of all, let's do the Red Wings here. The Red Wings are a 3-game losing streak right now. Their road trip, 4-game road trip down south started out on the right foot last week when they beat Florida 4-2, but they lost the next 3 games at Tampa, at Dallas, and then again last night in overtime. So they did get 1 point out of that to the Flyers, 2-1. They've averaged 1 goal in their last 3 games. They're 21-21-5. What is that? 47 points. They're still within, I think, 5 points maybe of where they want to be. They're not that far out of a wild card yet. But anyway, they play Montreal tomorrow night at Little Caesars. The Canadiens sure did turn it around this year. They had a very bad team last year, but they're actually pretty good this year. They've got Montreal tomorrow night at Little Caesars. As I said, they're 21-21-5. Let's hope they can stop the bleeding tomorrow night. They got to start scoring more goals. That's all there is to it. Goaltending hasn't really been that bad. It's just really inability for them to put the puck in the net. So let's just say it would behoove them to win that game tomorrow night against Montreal. Pistons at 22-21 are in Atlanta tonight and have a chance to do something tonight with a win that they haven't done in a long time. If they win tonight, they'll guarantee themselves of a winning month. The month of January would have been a winning month for them. They guarantee themselves of that if they can win tonight. And then not only that, they'll also jump ahead of Atlanta, I think, for 6th place. But after that disappointing loss last week to a very mediocre Pacer team, I'm not exactly don't hold a lot of hope for them tonight in Atlanta, but we'll see. Doesn't mean they can't. Maybe Cade can have another good night like he's been having. Anyway, if they were to win tonight, they'll guarantee themselves of a winning month of January, and they have not had a winning month. Boy, this is hard to fathom. Hard to fathom. Imagine, or whatever you want to call it, but they have not had a winning month. This Detroit Pistons team, since 2019. They have not had a winning month since 2019. That's hard to believe, and that's how bad things have been for them. But anyway, good luck tonight. It's a big game tonight in Atlanta for them. They can beat the Hawks and go ahead of them in the standings. Be a little better in their camp. But are they a better team this year? Of course they are. I think Bickerstaff has been a very good fit for this team. They went out and acquired a few veterans. It's blended in nicely with the younger players. And, it's a shame they lost Jaden Ivey, but it is what it is. So good luck to the Pistons. They're 22-21, and we'll see what happens tonight in Atlanta. By the way, because of the weather down there, after the game on Monday, instead of flying from Houston to Atlanta, they had to take the bus. They had to take a bus from Houston to Atlanta, a 12-hour bus ride. And apparently along the way, they stopped at Buc-ee's. You've never heard of Buc-ee's? It's obviously we don't have a Buc-ee's anywhere around us. Very popular in the South. How can I describe Buc-ee's? It's a combination fast food, gasoline, convenience, Walmart, kind of all rolled into one. If you don't know about Buc-ee's, Google Buc-ee's. Google them. Bucky's, I think, how they spell it. But anyway, they posted a few pictures when stopping at Buc-ee's between Houston and Atlanta. I thought that was kind of humorous. but 12-hour bus ride. Huh? Even the NBA has to go through this every once in a while. But due to the weather, they could not take off from the airport in Houston. They had to bus it. So, and they couldn't have any delays because that game, when it ended about 4 or 5 o'clock on Monday, they had to be in Atlanta 48 hours later. So they couldn't really have that long of a delay. They had to get out of there, so they hopped on a bus, 12-hour bus ride. But anyway, good luck to the Pistons tonight. We'll talk about the Lions and their coaching changes and a little bit about the upcoming draft in April after we do this for our great sponsor, Epic Chevrolet. It's cold. It's going to be cold for a couple of more nights yet. If you're like me, you're sick of the cold weather. You don't really feel a whole lot of like getting out and getting into it. Today's probably been the windiest day of the week. We haven't had a lot of sunshine today either, but even if it's cold, if there's no wind, we have sunshine that makes it a little more tolerable, but it's going to be cold for a couple of more nights yet. We'll be out of this by the weekend, so just hang in there. And if you haven't done anything with your car yet for winter, you should have done so by now, or if you're having any issues with your car because of the winter weather, now's the time to get to the service department at Beck Chevrolet and make an appointment to make sure your vehicle will be ready for the rest of the winter weather ahead. You get in there and let them check the strength of your battery. Your battery, boy, nothing is worse. Nothing takes its toll on a battery more than cold weather. And chances are, if your battery's more than 4 years old or so, you're gonna be having trouble with it in the sub-zero weather. And when you get in there and let them check the strength of your battery, your belts and hoses, your wiper blades, antifreeze, and more. Plus, now is the time, if your tires aren't in very good shape either, to get in there and get a new set of tires so you don't go slipping and sliding down the highway. And if you don't think your vehicle will make it through another rough Michigan winter, let the sales pros at Beck's help you find a vehicle for all seasons. You know, the 2025s are rolling in onto the lot nearly every day. So right now their selection is tops. You can check out their inventory on their webpage at frankbeckchevy.com or stop by the dealership on M99 between Hillsdale and Jonesville and get in there and let them help you experience the Frank Beck difference. And you also want to get in there now and take advantage of their first ever Beckathon. What's this all about? Beckathon, not Buckathon. Beckathon. Now through the end of the month. January 31st, you get an extra $1,000 dealer cash. I'll repeat that, an extra $1,000 dealer cash on all remaining new 2024 models in stock. Plus, you get an extra $3,000 dealer cash on any select used vehicle in stock. Now, through the end of the month, you got till January 31st. You get to the dealership and you speak to one of the great salesmen in there, and they'll give you all the details. Give them a call at 517-849-2886. Or better yet, stop by the dealership on M99 between Hillsdale and Jonesville. Talk to one of their great, capable salesmen in there. See one of the members of the sales team, and they'll give you all the details on their first ever Beckathon. This deal too good to pass up. You got till the end of the month, so 31st. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. Chevy drives Southern Michigan. And Frank Beck Chevrolet is the #1 Chevy dealer in the tri-state area. As you saw in the headline, Aaron Glenn is gone, as expected, as Adam Schefter reported a couple of days ago. He is the new head coach of the New York Jets. He played his first 8 seasons with the Jets, made the Pro Bowl twice before moving on to New Orleans. He had a very good career there with the Jets. Anyway, he's now their head coach. Good for him. I do wish him all the luck in the world in New York, in the Big Apple. He's going to find that there's a little bit of difference when dealing with the media in New York that there was in Detroit. I wish him all the luck in the world. As far as replacements, let's look at this a minute. I got this on my phone here. I want to scroll down here, and there are 5 or 6 different possibilities for an Aaron Glenn replacement as the Lions defensive coordinator. He admitted that he had been grooming linebackers coach, albeit he's only 37, Kelvin Shepard, as a defensive coordinator. He didn't specifically say it was for here, but like I said, even though he's only 37, I think he'd be a capable replacement. I think you'd rather hire from within. There's a couple other names on here I want to run by you though. As I said, Kelvin Shepard, that would be secondary coach or quarterbacks coach Deshae Townsend. Interviewed with the 49ers for their defensive coordinator job earlier this month. He just finished his first season with the Lions. Before that, he was in Tennessee? I don't know where. Anyway, that's an important role on this staff, and it speaks volumes that Glenn, a longtime NFL quarterback, trusted him to lead the defensive backs, bringing him in with that responsibility. I think he did a good job this year. I mean, in regard to what he had to work with. We'll get to that in just a second. Anyway, the remaining assistant, Lions defensive assistant, Jim O'Neill. That's a name you're probably not familiar with. External names to watch. Coaches outside the organization. Ex-Saints and Raiders head coach, Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen was a teammate of Dan Campbell's when they played at Texas Tech. So these two obviously go back quite a ways. Don't rule him out as coming in and taking over as defensive coordinator. Jaguars defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen, another possibility. Ex-49ers defensive coordinator and Panthers interim coach Steve Wilks. That's the name I find very intriguing. That's my number one candidate to replace Aaron Glenn. Steve Wilks. Remember that name. Anybody else left on this list? No, that's about it. That's a few possibilities who could replace Aaron Glenn. So if you saw or heard anything of Benedict Johnson's press conference today, he came on and said, by the way, a bit of trivia. When Ben Johnson officially became the Bears head coach yesterday, he was the first Lions assistant coach to leave Detroit and take a head coaching job since January the 9th of 1963. When the Lions had a very good year in 1962. They finished 11-3, had a good team. I thought they should have won the championship that year. They didn't for various reasons. But Don Shula, a few weeks after the season ended, he was the Lions secondary coach back then. Hall of Famer now, of course. January 9th of 1963, took the head coaching job with the Baltimore Colts. Of course, he would go on to gain fame as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. It's been that long since a Lion assistant left to become a head coach. Now, a little after that, not a little, but quite a few years after that, Bill Belichick was a Lion assistant coach, but he did not directly get a head coaching job after that. He ended up, of course, being the head coach of the Dolphins. But, well, that's a long time. I didn't realize that. Don Shula was the last Lions assistant coach to get a head coaching job after the season. But back in the Kennedy administration. Well, anyway, what losing Aaron Glenn does too, by the way, as part of the Rudy rule now in the NFL, regarding interviewing and hiring minorities as head coaches. Because Aaron Glenn is an African American, and because he was a defensive coordinator, and he goes on and gets a head coaching job somewhere else, the Lions will be compensated with 2 extra third-round draft picks. One this year, the 2025 draft in Green Bay in April, and one next year. I think they come at the end of the round. So if you want to look ahead to the draft, the Lions have their first pick in the first round. They're picking 28th. Their pick in the second round will be 60. And this compensatory pick in the third round should be right about 100. So if you're looking ahead to the draft in April, they've got a first round pick, a second round pick, a compensatory pick in the third round. They've got a fourth round pick. They do not have a fifth round pick. They've got a sixth round pick and 2 in the seventh round. We'll see if Brad Holmes can cook with that because something else I've been thinking about the last couple of days. Their draft last April, I think there were 6 players taken. They got nothing. No contributions from this last draft class at all. Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw were the first and second round picks. Rakestraw was hurt most of the year. To me, Arnold runs his mouth a lot, but he had no picks. I think as the season went on, he had less pass interference calls than he did the first half of the season. But to me, he was not that impressive. He still thinks he's the best corner in the NFL. We'll see what he does next year, how he progresses. But yeah, sadly, they got nothing from this past season's draft class. You go look back 2 years ago, what they got out of that when they got Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell and Sam Laporta and Brian Branch in the second round. 4 starters. They got nothing this year. Oh. Let's hope Brad does a little better cooking than he did last year as far as the draft goes. But yeah, that occurred to me the other day. Lions got nothing at all from last year's draft, no contributions. And do you care? Does anybody care about these games this weekend? Anybody? Apparently the Chiefs are slight favorites to beat the Bills. The Eagles are slightly favored over the Commanders, but who cares, right? I'll probably watch, but I don't have a dog in a fight. I could care less who wins these games. I'm still bitterly disappointed. I might have said the other day, I wish Ben Johnson all the luck in the world. What I've learned between now and then, I'm not going to divulge on here, but I take back everything I said about him. I hope he's gone after 2 years. I hope he loses every damn game. I hope his quarterback tears an ACL. I wish him nothing but bad luck. And the fact that the Bears are paying him $14.5 million a year for the next 4 years for a guy who's never been a head coach, you got to be kidding me. 36 hours after that game Saturday night, he's the Bears head coach. You think he didn't know he was going to Chicago when he called a passing play on 3rd and 1 in the red zone, empty backfield? Or when he called that stupid reverse play to have Jameson Williams throw a pass? Give me a break, man. I'm bitter. I'm bitter about the whole damn thing. That's going to do it for now. I'll try to simmer down here. But don't forget, I'll be back with you again on Friday night. And then Saturday morning here locally on 92.1 FM WCSR 9 to 10 with Andy and Jet on timeout. It'll be a little warmer by then. We're supposed to be back in the 30s, I think. We got a couple of more single-digit nights yet, but we'll get by this. That's going to do it for now. I'll talk to you all again on Friday. In the meantime, remember, as always, please try to treat each other with respect. Stay warm. Have a good rest of your evening. As always, thanks so much for watching. And so, everybody, I'll see you Friday.